Alright lads, welcome back to InsideMC, the podcast where I sit down with an amazing guest whenever I decide to upload a podcast. I know it's not weekly anymore, I'm sorry, okay? I've been busy. It's also not really become harder to find guests, but also harder to find guests, if that makes any sense. But it's fine, because we're joined with someone very, very cool today. We're joined with WiiSuper.
Hello, how's it going?
I am doing good, thank you. I did kind of brief you before the podcast began that the intro would be to kind of waffle about myself very quickly. Is that okay still?
Yep, go ahead. Let the world know what you got going on.
Yeah, so obviously because the podcast used to be weekly, I could kind of just throw it in every now and then, and like people would kind of get, you know, a rough update of where I've been at. But yeah, so I'm working. I'm meant to be working a part-time job to be doing part-time content, but I'm working from like 12 till 8. So this podcast today has been recorded at 9:30. So that's why I got home late because of the traffic and then did dinner. Whereas podcast used to be recorded at 7:30 every single Monday. But even when we scheduled it, I know we're not doing it on a Monday, but even when we were meant to do it on Monday, it was scheduled in for like what 9? It was 9:30 about the same time we're doing it now, right? Because I'm working late. So there's that. That's the part-time thing. Also, I think that might be it really. That's the only news I got. I've been working on more like video content over, you know, the whole podcast content. And I've been focusing on a lot of speedrunning content, which kind of links into why you're here today, because you're a speedrunner and it kind of fits the brand of what I've been focusing on. So yeah, nice round up. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice Thursday. I've been surviving the cold here in Pennsylvania over the past few weeks. It has been pretty rough. We've been having a lot of snow, a lot of everything. So just kind of enjoying the time indoors in this cold early February.
Oh, that actually reminds me. I dropped 12 glasses of tomato sauce today all over the floor.
Oh,
and also broke.
That's crazy. that brings me back. Back in college, I used to work at in this cafe, and I was back in the kitchen, and we had to deal with making portions for 100, 200 people.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of like students working in there who were like very new and inexperienced, so we had our fair share of very, very large spills, broken pools, and it was pretty chaotic. So I definitely relate to that experience. So hopefully it wasn't too bad.
It was okay. I mean, so I've been a barista for the last 3 years. However, I've recently moved into like a new field, because 2025 was essentially meant to be part-time work, part-time content. I was meant to kind of focus on content a bit more this year, and as much as I've kind of been able to, like, I've been uploading more videos, fortunately enough, because I have editors helping me. I've like been constantly asked to do more hours, and the pay's good enough to kind of make me want to do those hours, if that makes sense. So but it's been nice. It's been like a nice switch up. I realized that I'd always talk about in the podcast, barista work just was not for me. I did not like the customers at all. Whereas where I work now, it's like, I don't say too much because I could actually possibly dox myself, but where I work now is it's in like a supermarket job, and the benefits are really nice, to the point where me and my partner haven't done like a proper food shop in about a month.
That's great. I mean, it's always like a tough conversation. I feel like people, because we're pretty similar size, so we kind of always have to have this like tough conversation where like, you're right on like that tipping point of maybe being able to do full-time or at least like part-time content, but it's like not quite enough, so you're kind of like stuck in this middle ground. And I've kind of been in the same point where like I'm like, oh, we're so close, but I do kind of random odd jobs here and there. I do some bartending on weekends and other random stuff, just kind of fill in the holes, I guess. But it's like this like awkward position to be in, because obviously everyone wants to be a content creator. It's like many people's dream jobs, but you kind of the reality is that it's very hard to do, and only a very small percentage of people who try to do it actually succeed.
I remember... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I remember, have you ever heard of the content creator Akko by any chance?
I think so.
They're a completely different niche, and they don't really do content as much anymore. So it's like completely.
I played a soccer match with TwitchCon with this guy.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
That was the NA one this year, right?
Yeah, in San Diego.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about that later.
we will waffle about that. So yeah, with Akko, I had them on the podcast maybe about 2 years ago now, and we had a really good talk, and it was them who kind of started it, and it's a really good conversation, because I love it always, and it's whenever I talk to people I bring up, is that you're big enough to, like, quote unquote big enough to make content creation like good for you, but also you're not big enough to talk about it. Like if someone asks you like, oh, what do you do for work? You know, you're earning a fund from content creation, but also it's not like, if you're not famous, it feels hard to say that it's like you're a YouTuber, if that makes sense. So that was like a conversation that we had, was like, you know, you're big enough to, you're putting in the effort, you're earning enough money, sure, to live off of it. Like I'm not saying we are, but the idea is still there. You earn enough, but because you don't have like thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, it feels weird telling someone that, oh yeah, I'm a YouTuber, this is my job.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like such a, I don't know if like taboo is the right word, but you know, there's like a percentage of the population who, you know, if you're not, you know, out in like the oil fields, it doesn't count as like a real job.
I think that's changing nowadays. I think
it's been a changing culture, but you know, it's there's always going to be, you know, people who are like that, and you know, it is what it is. But I think there's been a pretty good like push for accepting that, you know, if you're making money, as long as what you're doing isn't harming others, then you know, it's a good thing.
I obviously don't expect you to reveal yours. This isn't what I'm asking. I'm just saying it's for mine. I'm happy to like kind of reveal that when I was focused on the Inside Orbitzz channel and I was working like before I took a break, I was earning maybe about like sometimes 300, 400 pounds a month while working a job. So that was like kind of feasible to the point of like, obviously the job kind of paid. It was like a weird job where I had to Uber to work every day, which like obviously £10 a day on Uber is a bit pricey. So it was like good enough where like YouTube paid for the Uber, the you know, the job paid for my bills kind of thing. Whereas like nowadays with InsideMC, like I'm earning an alright amount, but like it's not that amount. And even then, like I know it sounds so weird to say because it is, but you know, £400 like in the sense of kind of, obviously if you're not making it full time, isn't a lot of money, right? So that's like where I'm at right now, whereas like I think I can make it like part time if I put in the work, but I can't really put in the work if I keep accepting shifts, and I don't want to not accept shifts because that's guaranteed pay. Like really, it's a really tricky kind of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of felt in the same way, which is why I kind of do the, you know, the random odd jobs here and there to fill in the holes, because you know, you can progress through your life with, you know, a smaller amount of income, but I want to live my life. I'm someone who really enjoys traveling and seeing new things, so obviously that kind of changes the, you know, the threshold for, you know, what I like to do in a month.
It plays into it, yeah.
Yeah, so. You know, I kind of have been seeing where it's been going. You know, you have ups and downs, and just like the internet as a whole has ups and downs. Obviously, I make, you know, a lot of Lego Star Wars content on YouTube, but I've been pretty inactive on there, and I definitely want to get back into it because, you know, for anyone who has ever tried with content, they probably know that Twitch is kind of terrible for revenue, but YouTube is actually really good. YouTube is considerably better, so it's something I definitely want to focus on more in the future. And I've kind of reached this thing where I'm juggling between like, oh, I'm streaming Minecraft speedruns, I want to start making Minecraft YouTube content, and Lego YouTube content. So now I'm like juggling 3 different things, and a lot of the content I make is like pretty technical. So hiring an editor for like the Lego stuff, it's like pretty technical. So hiring an editor is not like something that's super viable. I've edited all my own videos always. And I think I've found like a pretty good style for my videos that, you know, get people to watch them and, you know, really enjoy them. Like I think getting people to watch and enjoy them is super, super important. And I think I've gotten pretty good at it. I'm not the best editor, but I think I can tell, you know, a good story with the video. And that's, you know, kind of been my goal. But I just got to get that motivation back, really. I definitely do want to get back into editing more, because it's something that I tend to put off. It's way easier to just stream yourself playing games rather than actually doing like a, you know, a high effort creative project. Maybe you can relate to that.
I want to carry on talking about this topic because it's a good topic, and I want to talk about it. I want to ask you a question before I forget it, because it's always what I do in the intro, and I've realized we're like chatting away and I just haven't brought it up.
Go for it.
Who are you? What do you do? And if you have a fun fact about yourself, because we've got into talking about like what you do there, but I realized we didn't actually fully introduce it. So
I realized a lot of people probably don't know who I am. I'm WiiSuper, but everyone and anyone can call me Justin. That's my real name. And I am from the speedrunning sector of the world. I've been speedrunning games since as early as 2015. and I started speedrunning Lego Star Wars in November of 2018. And it's kind of where I made a name for myself and grew my first audience. And I would speedrun it. I've set many world records in the game. I've played in tournaments and events and everything. And it's a super cool community. But recently I started Minecraft speedrunning in July of 2025. I did an event called Minecraft Month where I streamed Minecraft, learning the speedrun every single day for the entire month of July, for 12 plus hours every single day, and it was super fun. And I got to meet a lot of really cool people and kind of get involved with the community. And I really enjoyed it. So ever since then, I've been speedrunning Minecraft pretty competitively. And now, as of recently, I've been trying to check out other parts of the Minecraft community besides just speedrunning. So on Saturday, November 7th, I'm going to be playing in my first Block Wars Origins. Definitely looking forward to that. But that's basically where I come from. I come from a speedrunning background. I've made YouTube content on Lego Star Wars. That's kind of been my thing. But recently, I've kind of been trying out the Minecraft speedrunning and really have been enjoying it a lot.
We'll carry on talking about that topic there. Sorry, I know I'm just like moving on. That was a really great introduction. Thank you for that. I don't want to build on it because then we'll sway away from our previous topic. I know I threw it in like a really messy time, but otherwise I'm never going to get to throw it in.
Hey, that's all good.
But yeah, I want to talk about what you mentioned earlier briefly about the content creation and like balancing and all that kind of jazz. I do have like one question for you though, because obviously balancing different types of content is hard enough. For example, with Insane Orbits, I grew on command block tutorials 6 years ago now, which is insane to say. But I made tutorials on Minecraft Bedrock Edition and they got shit tons of views, right? And earned me a fairly decent amount of money. But then I decided to start making like gameplay content on like CubeCraft and Hive and all that kind of jazz. And it started off really like bad because I was mixing in with the tutorials. And then at one point I kind of just said screw it and stopped doing the tutorials. And it took me ages, but I finally got the gameplay side, or quote unquote gameplay side of things, to get more views, right? But then obviously that's two different types of content, but both inside Minecraft. With you, you're planning on making both Minecraft and Lego content. You're going to be splitting your community, and I know it's still speedrunning, but you're still going to be splitting your community quite large. So how do you plan to kind of counter that?
I mean, it's definitely been like a noticeable thing. Like when I stream Minecraft, less people watch me play it than Lego, because the original audience I've built up over the last 7 years has been for Lego, which is why like I don't plan on putting like any Minecraft content on my main WiiSuper channel. I made like a new channel that's like WiiSuper There's nothing on it besides like a couple PB VODs right now, but it's just it's definitely like a tough thing to do, and you kind of make the realization when you play a different game that there's a decent portion of your audience that doesn't watch you for you. They watch for the game that you're playing, which is totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think I've always been a little more introverted with how I stream. So I think people watch more for gameplay than the personality. So there has been a noticeable difference in like both the chatters and like the amount of chatters depending on which game I'm streaming. And I haven't really thought like too much about like how that would be in the long term. There definitely is people who watch both, which is super cool. But yeah, like I said, I don't really know what like the long term is there, and it's definitely like a unique thing wanting to do like two very different games, even if they're both speedrun related. People tend to kind of stick to only a couple games that they follow for speedrunning, and there's a little bit of overlap between Lego Star Wars and Minecraft. They're both kind of that like game that came out in the late 2000s. So it has a bit of a shared audience, but it's not completely shared. So it's a weird kind of area that I definitely have to consider more in the future, like how I kind of want to do it.
Why the sudden switch to Minecraft? Obviously, I mean, I guess it's already sudden. You've been doing it since July last year, but how comes?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I started speedrunning Lego Star Wars back in November of 2018, and it had kind of been like the only gaming thing I have been doing for the past like 7 years. I speedrun like other Lego games as well, like Lego Indiana Jones or whatever, but Lego Star Wars was like the main one. And I honestly was just getting kind of like bored of it. Like I wanted to do something different. I still enjoyed making the content, honestly, but it was the speed running in particular that I was really, really getting bored of, and I wanted to try something new. And Minecraft was a game that I've loved since I was a kid. Back in 2016, I was sweating on Hypixel mini games and everything like that, and I hadn't played the game for years. I had never played the new versions ever. And I also had like a lot of friends in the Minecraft community that I had already known before I started running, and I was like, all right, let's just kind of jump in and see how I feel about it. And I enjoyed it, so much to the point that like, I really want to take ranked seriously and, improve, push up the ranked leaderboard and, everything like that. I've really, really been enjoying it. But the main reason to answer, the question why I want to do something new, I was just getting bored. It's as simple as that. After doing something for so many years, I kind of felt like I had kind of gotten everything out of it. I don't think I'm done playing it. I think I might continue to play in Lego Star Wars events and tournaments in the future and whatnot. But I definitely needed a break.
Was it last year or was it a year before? Within the last 2 years, I've had like a lot of speedrunners come on the podcast. And one of them was actually Milo from GSA, which I believe you participated in with Lego Star Wars speedrun and stuff, right?
Yeah, we had a Lego Star Wars like event at an in-person speedrun event. It's called the LTA or Live Time Attack, I think is what it's called. I'm actually not too sure. Where like a bunch of people do attempts up on the stage for about 8 hours, and whoever has the fastest completed run, like with resets allowed and everything, whoever has the fastest completed run at the end of that time slot would be the winner. So as opposed to like a tournament where you do like a no reset race, this more focused on like grinding attempts for the fastest possible run. And we did have the privilege of doing an in-person event like that at one of those events. And of course, we've done a lot of our own online events. Our most notable one we did was one called Ladder League. And it's basically a kind of a new tournament format that was kind of developed by myself and a couple others that basically tries to fix the issue of speedrun tournaments having like huge blowout matches. And this is like an issue in like a lot of speedrunning communities, is they would do like a classic double elimination tournament. And when you would have like seed 1 versus like seed 16, just given the nature of speedrunning like a long, complex game like Lego Star Wars, the match would just be like a complete blowout. The runners would have like 30-minute gaps in their PBs sometimes, and the races just like wouldn't even be a contest. They were pretty boring to play in, pretty boring to watch. So we made a format called Ladder League, where instead of playing, the top and bottom seed playing, all the seeds right next to each other play. So seeds 1, 2, and 3 play in a 3-way race, 4, 5, and 6 play in a 3-way race, and that goes all the way down. And if you win the race, you go up, or if you get first or second in the race, you go up the ladder. And if you lose the race, you go down the ladder. So the ladder keeps kind of shifting around. And if you're at the very top of the ladder and win, you like qualify for a top 8. And if you're at the very bottom of the ladder and you lose, you're eliminated from the tournament. And this format kind of keeps it so that you're always playing people of similar skill level, but like not having it be unfair, I guess, because you're always just kind of locked somewhere in this ladder. And it was a super, super cool format. We've done it the last 2 years, and we're gonna be bringing it back again this summer, and it should be our biggest, highest production one yet. So I think I definitely may want to try to return to playing that again. But yeah, no, we've had all sorts of super, super cool Lego Star Wars events. Obviously that one in-person one, but of course many that we've done hosted ourselves online. And yeah, they've all been super cool. And I always love events for a variety of reasons, both just the way that they get runners involved with each other and get the community watching the runners, and just kind of creating entertainment and content for both the viewers and the runners. So I love how many events Minecraft has. I know a lot of the events aren't really like speedrun adjacent, but there are a lot of speedrun Minecraft events too, and I think they're all super, super cool. And I think it's just like something that I'd love to see more like super speedrun oriented Minecraft events, actually, because we have a lot of the non-speedrunning events people play in, for example, like the Block Wars Origins that I'm going to be playing in this weekend. But I'd love to see like speedrun challenge events and stuff. It'd be super, super cool, besides like playoffs and a couple other ones.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that the whole event scene, I mean, obviously we'll talk a little bit more about Block Wars and stuff later on. We will get into that. But I will say, like with Minecraft events and stuff like that, they can become a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I'm taking a bit of a step back from the Minecraft event scene, not for any bad reason, just just like I sign up to events, I don't really get into them, which isn't a problem.
Yeah.
But it's more so just like I don't know. I've really been enjoying focusing on MCSR content. I'm not sure how much you know about InsideMC as a whole, but like yeah, it's kind of become Inside MCSR. Regardless, I do agree with you. I mean, there are a few Minecraft speedrun tournaments which are really cool. It's just I think it will take like another year or so before we get some like massive ones because people are getting really good at speedrunning, but also at the same time, unless you're like top level, it's so hard to kind of balance. Whereas like in a Minecraft event, a bad player can just pop off and win a PvP fight against a good player. Whereas, you know, in Minecraft speedrunning, it can still happen where you can just have like a random pop off. But at the same time, it's a lot harder to recover in a Minecraft speedrun, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I think people maybe have to think of like unique formats to maybe kind of counter that. Like instead of just, you know, a traditional just start to end speed run, you know, the objective of the speed run is maybe a bit more like arbitrary.
Yeah,
I guess like kind of like bingo style or something.
I might have some ideas.
But no, yeah, I mean, there's been super cool stuff. And I mean, of course, during playoffs, they played that little like teaser that there's supposedly supposed to be an in-person LAN in April. Apparently there hasn't been like any information about that since then. So I don't know if it's actually happening, but if it does, that would be super cool.
Oh,
And I will definitely be going no matter what to watch that. So I really hope, you know, that pans out and is super cool and kind of is the catalyst for having more like hyper competitive in-person events. I'd love to see it kind of like GeoGuessr. Well. Yeah, I imagine it will be, which is good for me, not good for other people. But yeah, I mean, it's like a super cool step. Obviously, we had the LFI, which was also a super big step for in-person events as well.
Yeah, Lewis always. Why am I calling him Lewis? I never call him Lewis. Fulham always puts on like a really good
yeah, so all sorts of. I think the future is super bright in Minecraft, which is why I definitely like to be like, you know, pretty involved right now. I'm hopping on the train pretty much. And I've definitely dipped my own toes in trying to do events. I don't know if you've seen the MarioCraft event I did.
Yes, we will get into talking about that as well.
Okay.
I'm saving all the good stuff for a bit later on.
All right, perfect. We'll definitely have to talk about that in a bit then, because it's definitely like a cool. There's many things I learned from that.
What was I going to say to you? I definitely think with your experience of obviously like helping with the Lego events and all that kind of jazz, I think you can definitely bring something to the table. Like not to boost your ego here, but it's true. I definitely think you can bring something to the table for like MCSR events, like adjacent, which is going to be like exciting to see if people let you have the influence on it, which I reckon they will eventually. You know, you have the CV for it, so
yeah. I mean, I hope I'm always down to like get involved. You know, I I remember I was like at TwitchCon San Diego, which I don't know if this is something we're going to talk about in the future. Is like some.
We probably will, yeah.
But yeah, at TwitchCon San Diego, whenever I saw Oliver, I was like pestering him. I'm like, you gotta make ranked playoffs in person. Like this is the future. Like this can really you know, set ranked playoffs to like a degree never seen before. So I was always kind of pestering him about that, and I was like, hey, like, and I'm down to do whatever I can to make it happen, even if maybe I might not have as many resources as other people. But that if this in-person event's happening in April, I think he's made some great connections. So
A lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually an MCSR Ranked OG. Yes, I had Oliver on the podcast about like 2.5 years ago now to the MCSR Ranked. I created my account like 904 days ago or something. The only reason I never actually really speedran was because I could never do Ninja Brain Bot properly. So I did it a little bit, and because it kept breaking, I just gave up on it, because obviously if something you can't do it right and you have no way of fixing it, because at the time I didn't have as many quote-unquote connections as I do now. I didn't really have any way of fixing it or knowing how to fix it, if that makes sense. Whereas now, I mean, like, I'm speedrunning ranked like a lot because, you know, I average about an 18 to 20 minute time, which isn't horrible. Like, I'm happy enough with it. But
that's great.
It's because Ninja Brain Bot's working. Like, I've had so many runs before Ninja Brain Bot was like when it was broken that I look back on, I'm like, damn, that could have been like sub 17. But it turned out to be a 27 minute time because I had to travel in the overworld and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing that sucks about Minecraft, and a similar issue with Lego Star Wars is just like the setup is it can be like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like there are good resources, but they are good resources. I wouldn't say they're great, especially because like a lot of times it can be very different for every person. It's like different for everybody when they're doing the setup. And I'm glad to hear that Ranked is kind of working on like trying to do like an all-in-one package for installing like all the mods you need now.
Well, that'd be cool.
And like having tutorials built into the Ranked client and everything. And we're trying to do the same thing with Lego Star Wars because download like 8 different programs to make Lego Star Wars work properly now. So we're trying to kind of pack it all into just one program, and you can just like press a button to make it all work, which is kind of a goal of ours to have done by March, because we're currently working on like a highly edited, like super detailed tutorial for like how to learn the any percent speedrun. And that's kind of like, so a part of having just the tutorial come out, we want to have, everything to come out. So, having better programs for getting the game set up and, practicing the game more efficiently and all sorts of stuff like that. So, I mean, that's just like the future of speedrunning in general. Back when I started speedrunning the game, you just had to like walk into the level and practice it as if you were just playing the game. Now we have all sorts of software in Lego Star Wars where you can like load into any room you want and use hotkeys to like reload the room over and over. Similar to like the Super Mario 64 practice tools. If you or anybody watching kind of knows how they work. Like you can just kind of load into the game wherever you want. And it's super nice. It makes practice so much more efficient and has, pushed the game way farther than it ever would have without it. And I think, maybe even Minecraft could. We have, the Bastion practice map, the Zero practice map. Imagine not having those, or like MPK. Like imagine not having those. The practice would just be so impossible. Yeah. And everyone would just be worse at the game. So, it's always super important to be grateful for these tools and always try to improve them.
One thing I suggested to Oliver when he came on the podcast, and I really hope they do it. I think they might. I think they're slowly getting towards it because of the whole like recent region thing, is clans. I said they need to add clans. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just something that people can put their name, like, put their name behind, like, in brackets, like for InsideMC it'd be like the Inside Orbitzz bracket IMC, right? Because like people are doing it currently with, I don't know if you've seen it with the regions. I can't remember what region it was. There's like so many different variants of EDCR, like their name for a region. Like imagine if we had actual clans and stuff. Like I think it'd just be pretty cool. I don't know. That's just me though.
It's like,
it doesn't have to mean anything. It can just be like a small little thing they have.
Might be like controversial. Like I imagine like some people would say that's like a bad idea. Like some people would be like, oh yeah, that's like super cool. But then there's also gonna be like another group that's like, oh, that's gonna like alienate, people who play alone or like whatever.
But isn't it just like yeah, but it's like esports, how they have esports organizations. I'm not in an esports organization, so I feel alone. I get what you're saying. I just like you're not gonna.
No, I'm not saying that's my opinion.
Saying as in like
but,
as in like the perspective.
But no, I think it'd be cool.
What about Lego speedrunning then? Why'd you get into that? Because obviously, like you know how to speedrun. You've done. I'm looking through your speedrun.com here. You have the Pringles speedrun. You have a few Minecraft Java ones. Lego Star Wars, the other one. Just multiple Lego games you've done. Lethal Company, Escape from Lavender Island. That's actually how I discovered Silver Runs. That's a whole fun story. Lego Indiana Jones. You've done a lot of mainly Lego speedrun.
So funnily enough, the first ever game I speedran was Minecraft. All the way back in July of 2015. And at the time, I did like obtain diamond as fast as possible because I watched an Ant Venom video from like 12 years ago where he did the speedrun. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I had never speedrun before. And I was a big Minecraft player at the time, so I did it. And I got this like 7-second run where I spawned like right next to a desert temple and just like dropped in and got a diamond. And at the time, I think it was like 3rd place. But at the time, Minecraft speedrunning was like completely irrelevant. Like so unbelievably irrelevant. Like no one played it at all. So 3rd place at the time was like 3rd of like 6 people. So but yeah, so Minecraft was actually the first game I ever speedran, and I just like liked the concept of speedrunning. I thought it was like super satisfying the way you could like keep improving to be faster and faster. So I was kind of just like speedrunning whatever. And then random day in November 2018, I was like, all right, we're gonna speedrun Lego Star Wars today. And I literally did like a completely blind speedrun, like no practice, no nothing. I just like played through the game as fast as possible, and it was last place. on the Lego Star Wars leaderboard because I had no clue what I was doing. And then I was like, oh, well, if I do another run, I can, cut off so much time now that I literally just know where to go. And I did that a couple times. I kept improving, and I started, learning some easier skips, and was like kind of making my way up the leaderboard. And I don't know, I was just kind of having a lot of fun. And I started making a couple friends who were also kind of improving at the same time as me. And we were racing each other and challenging each other. And next thing you know, after about 4 months, I get my first world record. So it kind of just kept going and going and going in this like never ending kind of back and forth friendly competition. So I never really got a chance to jump off of it. Not that I wanted to jump off of it. I was having a great time. But it was kind of the first game that I really like appreciated the speed run and like improving the speed run a lot. So I wasn't like, I maybe played the game a little bit as a kid, but I literally just picked it at random one day. Like that's how it ended up happening. And over time the game continued to grow. As we were doing things to grow the community. We were hosting events and posting our world records to YouTube and stuff for people to watch. And the community kept growing and growing, and the competition became way more intense. And at this point, the game is unbelievably cutthroat at the top level. Like it's honestly too much for me at this point. The game is super competitive, and but it just like wasn't like that at a couple of years ago, and it's super cool to see. Trying to think where I'm going with this.
No, good. Take your time.
But yeah, the game becoming like super cutthroat, super competitive has kind of made me have to become pretty competitive with speedrunning as well, which is why I've liked to test my abilities. One of my favorite things were the which you had talked about with Silver, were the Moist Critical $10,000 speedrun challenges, where basically he'd pick like a random game where no one had ever heard of before, and he'd just say, okay, go speedrun it for 2 weeks, and whoever has the fastest time at the end of the 2 weeks wins $10,000. That was just like the base format. Eventually it was adjusted a little bit where like the prize pool was kind of divvied out between the top runners and whatnot. The first challenge was a game called Amok Runner, which unfortunately I was not available to play because that challenge started at the same time as Summoning Salt releasing a world record history on Lego Star Wars, which I'll come back to in a second. So I didn't play in the first one. The second one was a game called Exodus from the Earth, which was a game very similar to like Source Engine games like Half-Life. So it had like bee hopping and stuff, and that game was kind of dominated by people who had prior speedrun games like Half-Life and Portal, unsurprisingly. So I didn't really stand much of a chance in that challenge. But the third one he did was a game called Elder Scrolls Redguard, which was kind of this like it's a game from 1997 that had like actually the worst controls, had like a half-second input delay. The game was absolutely horrible, but I seemed to pick it up pretty well. I actually kind of liked it, and that was the first challenge where I actually was like a top competitor. I got multiple world records throughout like the 2-week playing period, and unfortunately on the final day was not able to PB to get into the money, the top 3 to get money. I think I finished in like 6th or something. But it was a super fun competition, and it was like really cool to kind of, I think the super cool thing about the challenges is that it would bring people together from like a bunch of different speedrunning communities to all kind of compete on one level playing field. So it's kind of like a test of like which community has like the most like, disciplined practice habits and like understanding of, how time works in a speed run. And it's just super cool to kind of see the legends of so many communities all kind of come together, and, super cool. And I guess, you said Silver has competed in them. I know N Emerald, another Minecraft runner, has played in a lot of these like bounty speedrun challenges. And, it's like, I do enjoy that like heavy, pretty aggressive competition.
I know a fair few people who did. It's more so like, I remember what was happening during that time. I think I was either out of work or I was working like later shifts. But like every single day I'd wake up and I'd like sit at my PC and I'd edit. And then on the side, I'd just have Silver Runs playing like that game. And it was just so, I don't know, I just got so hooked on it the entire time. I just enjoyed watching that being speedrun, to be honest. So the song about the game was just so like fuzzy for my brain. So it was certainly an experience. And then now like it kind of snowballed into, I guess, alongside everything else, kind of us being on a podcast here today, because I've decided to focus more on speedrunning, which is fun. But that is interesting. That is cool. I like that. It's a nice little like journey through your history. I always appreciate when someone comes on the podcast and kind of knocks it out in one go. So no loose gaps, no questions.
I guess kind of going back to something that we had talked talked about, like one of the biggest things that happened for the Lego Star Wars community as a whole is back in late 2022, Summoning Salt, which I'm assuming most people know who he is. If you don't, he makes like speedrun world record history documentaries, and he's one of the biggest speedrunning YouTubers. I think he has over 2 million subscribers, and he makes these like highly edited, kind of like long paced videos that cover world record history of a bunch of different games, the kind of videos that you put on before you go to bed, and many of these videos have millions and millions of views, and he covers a lot of like the most popular speed runs like Super Mario 64, Super Mario Bros, all sorts of iconic games. And in late 2022, he was like, I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. I want to do kind of like a more unique, random game. And somehow, some way, that game he picked was Lego Star Wars. I still just kind of like realized just like how lucky that is for myself and everyone else. But it honestly was like one of the coolest periods of my life where he brought on kind of a team of people to help him, write the history. So myself and like 6 other people were kind of brought onto this private team. Of course, we weren't allowed to tell anybody, and we were all kind of like writing the history for him in a way that would like allow him to make it into like a video. Because our history is very, very, it's a 2.5 hour plus speed run with hundreds and hundreds of tricks throughout the run. It's very, very complicated, and he was honestly pretty overwhelmed trying to make the video. So we were trying to make it as digestible for him as possible, kind of writing every world record that has happened in the past and what was good about it, what was bad about it, what the new tricks were, what the significance of that world record was. And, he was able to eventually make a video, the history of Lego Star Wars World Records, which is one of the most viewed videos on his channel. It has almost 7 million views at this point. And it's just like so cool. Like it's such like a video I cherish a lot. It's super, super cool to kind of have like, I don't want to say my life story because, it's the history of everyone, but obviously speedrunning this game and getting world records in this game was like a big part of my life for many, many years. Being able to see that story told to so many people is like, it's like, I can't even describe the feeling, but it's like so cool. And it's like an honor, getting the, a Summoning Salt video about your main game and, have people talking about you and many of your closest friends speedruns. It's just such a, an honor and a cool experience. And, after that video came out, so many big streamers would, react to the video. And, so many cool opportunities came out of it, just like more people watching the speedrun and more people joining the community. One of the most recent world record holders in Lego Star Wars who has been grinding for the past few years and finally got world record, Frostbite, joined and started running the game because of the Summoning Salt video. So it definitely was like a huge piece for our community and like really, bringing Lego Star Wars onto like the map, I guess. Because at the time it was like very, very niche. But now if you ask someone, oh, have you heard of Lego Star Wars speedruns? They'll either say, oh, I've heard of it, or maybe like, oh, I've seen the Summoning Salt video. Like people know what it is now, which is super, super cool to see.
Yeah, it really just depends on, I guess, like what kind of community you're in, right? Because obviously I would have never have heard about it before unless I heard of you. But I also wouldn't have ever already heard of you unless I was into Minecraft speedrunning. So it's kind of nice little, I guess, like, what's the word for it? Like a chain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It sounds like you've been, I mean, more than I realized, you've been involved in like a lot of really cool stuff, huh? Which is really sick to hear.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens. I've certainly gotten like pretty lucky on the internet for like the things that I've gotten to do and be involved in, which of course like I'm super grateful for. But yeah, a lot of times like I don't even know like how this happens. Like I reflect on like, like we were just talking about Summoning Salt picking Lego Star Wars of all games. Like he could have picked anything. He could have picked a different Lego game. Like Lego Star Wars was the one that I ran the most, but he could have picked like a different game or, just a non-Lego game in general, or the video maybe would have not been as well received as we thought it would be. But it's just so many cool opportunities have popped up. Obviously getting the chance to run at like in-person events too. I guess most recently back in I think September of this year, I did a co-op Lego Star Wars speedrun with Ludwig at his Fast 52 speedrunning event, which was like a charity speedrunning event he did in LA. That's like 52 hours straight of speedruns. And obviously it's a very kind of considered like the hot speedrun event right now, like the one that everyone is following, everyone is watching, as maybe some of the other ones like Games Done Quick, people maybe it's a cool event. It's for a great cause, but some people might say it's the format might be getting a little bit stale. So Fast 52 kind of offered like a fresh new way to do speedrun marathons, and getting accepted to run in that, I realize, is like very unlikely and very cool opportunity. And obviously I am very grateful that I get the chance to run in all these cool events over the past few years.
What has been, it doesn't even have to be like your best type, or it doesn't have to be your best time. It can just be the one you enjoyed the most. What has been your favorite speedrun? Like, pure, not based on how good you did or how fast you did or how much you did it, all that kind of jazz. Like, what is one speedrun that maybe you didn't think you was going to enjoy so much, but you did?
I gotta think. I mean, I don't know if I can name one. I can maybe name a couple of like cool things, like one speed run I did that was really fun is I did a 100% speed run of Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is the new Lego Star Wars game that came out in 2022. The 100% in that game is super, super long. I did the first ever like solo 100% speedrun of the game, and it took me 27 hours. But it's like it was a super, super fun experience to kind of route that, and because I routed the entire thing myself, all the open world collectibles, all the missions, all the in-level collectibles, everything. And like the document I made that had all the notes was like 60 plus pages or something crazy. Yeah, 68 pages. So that was like super cool, like doing these like large speedrun projects. I did like another thing called Grunt Percent, which is a speedrun of like the first 10 console Lego games. It's called Grunt Percent because in the cutscenes the characters make like grunting noises instead of talking as they do in the newer Lego games.
Nice.
So it's beating like all 10 of those games. That's like a 20-hour speedrun. I think it's like 17 hours now because a bunch of skips have been found in these games. But at the time that I did my second run of it, it was 20 hours and 43 minutes. And it's definitely a marathon run. You're playing through 10 games, jumping from game to game. It's like a lot of knowledge, a lot of things to remember. So like, that was like a super cool thing to do. Like I'm trying to think of like a Lego Star Wars PB that I had that was like particularly memorable. Maybe some of the ones I got in events. We've done like online break the record events where like a bunch of us are like grinding attempts and it's like commentated and stuff. I never have broken the record in those events, but I have gotten PBs in those events, which are cool. Where we're watching through the event and there's commentators and I'm in call with other runners sometimes, just kind of chatting. I think anything that is very like community oriented was always super fun.
Fair enough. Let's talk about TwitchCon. We're getting into the good stuff now. I mean, this has all been good stuff, don't get me wrong, but we're getting into the stuff that I've been saying we'll talk about later. We're talking about now. So how many TwitchCons have you been to? So
TwitchCon San Diego was my first ever TwitchCon, and I honestly wasn't even like planning on going. So in September I was like road tripping in the Pacific Northwest, and I happened to be driving past where Danny Boy lived, who I imagine he's another Minecraft runner, good friend of mine. He's the person who coached me when I first started learning Minecraft.
Oh, cool. Never really
and a good friend,
but they do sound very cool.
Yeah, he's super cool, and I was like, I'm literally driving right through your town. Like, we should grab a burger or something. And we were just like chatting, and he like brought up TwitchCon, and he was saying that he was going to TwitchCon, and he was like, oh, you should go to TwitchCon too. And I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna go. I don't really have anywhere to stay really. And I don't know like a ton of people going, I think. And he was like, oh no, like me and like a bunch of my friends are going, and he's like, oh, you can message Poundy, President Poundcake, and ask him if he has space in his Airbnb, because I was like, the hotels at that point, the event was in like a month. The hotels were ungodly expensive, especially if I was going to go alone and get a whole room to myself. It was just completely out of the cards. But he's like, oh, message Poundy, he might have like space in an Airbnb. So I messaged Pound, and I'm like, yo, Danny said you might have space in your Airbnb to go to TwitchCon. And I was like, am I able to fill that space? And Poundy's like, oh, I'm sorry, our like Airbnb is like completely full, like overflowing with people. We have no more room. Unfortunately, I can't. I was like, that's fine. Then a couple days later, Andy's like, oh, like Fulham and his girlfriend had to drop going to TwitchCon, so there's now open spots in the Airbnb. And at this point, this is like a week and a half before TwitchCon. And I'm like, what the heck? So I bought my TwitchCon ticket, bought flights to San Diego, and the next thing 2 weeks later, I'm across the country in San Diego at TwitchCon, and I was staying at an Airbnb with a bunch of Minecraft people, mainly people from HBG, which is like a friend group. We were all in this cool Airbnb, and we did all sorts of cool stuff there. I got to meet like a lot of super cool people. Like every single person I met was like super cool. So like I have nothing bad to say about, you know, anyone who I met at TwitchCon. All the Minecraft speedrunners are just like, they're all just super fun to be around. So had a great time. I was sharing a bunk bed with Infume, who left his TikTok on one night. So the same video was playing on loop all night, and I was like trying to find his phone to turn it off, and he was laying on his phone. So that's just a funny story.
But I wish I had friends.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm only messing. I go with my partner whenever we go. Because I have I have like IBS. I have to be firstly very careful what I eat, and secondly sometimes I can just get hit with like a really bad stomachache.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I tend to stay in like hotels on my own or with just one other person because, you know, don't want to run the risk of having to deal with
But once
that.
we were at the event, we definitely I definitely wasn't at TwitchCon like that much. You know, we maybe spent most of the time at like the Airbnb, and you know, we went to like the beach because, you know, here in San Diego, you got to go to the beach, and you know, I got to meet some like larger groups. Like a bunch of people went to like a big dinner at one point. We had like a barbecue night at the Airbnb where me and Nerdy and a couple other people were cooking some wings that were really good. But I think one of the coolest things we did was on Sunday morning, we went to MCC. Like Fruitberries was one of the competitors in MCC live. It was like at TwitchCon. They were like playing MCC on the stage. So we all went to watch that, and Fruitberries ended up actually winning, which was super cool. Because that's kind of who we were cheering for.
I love, like, I know you're not doing it for me because you know I know, but I love listening to you like explain what like different things are. Like I know you're doing it for
I don't know if you know or
is...
if the audience knows. I mean, I don't know.
No, you're mostly doing it for the audience because I know the majority. Like I was I was at TwitchCon EU. I've been for the last 3 years, and I watched the last two MCC. Like last year's, for example, I was sitting like fairly close to the stage, which was pretty cool. Sitting right in front of the pink team. So yeah, I know what it's like. It's just fun. Like, you know, it's not in a bad way. I promise. It's just.
No, but it was like it was super cool though. It was like such like high energy. Like the crowd, the crowd was getting lit. Like it was crazy. So yeah, no, that was like super cool. And then after the event was the soccer match, which I wasn't even supposed to be a part of originally, but
so subbed out.
Curryway, who was supposed to go, just ended up not going to TwitchCon. He just kind of wanted to be at home.
Wait, Curryway didn't go to TwitchCon?
He didn't.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so he just wanted to stay at home because he was already gone. Because Fast 52 was just a couple weeks prior, and I guess he didn't want to be away from home again. So he didn't go to TwitchCon, but he was supposed to be one of the players. So he was like, "Oh, hey, like, do you want to sub for me?" And I was like, "I've never played soccer in my life, but sure." But that was like super cool. I never played soccer before, but I did score a goal. And it was one of the weirdest goals. Like the commentators didn't even know how the ball went in the net because someone was like throwing the ball into me, and I was trying to kick it out of midair, but I missed the ball completely. Like I tried to kick it, and the ball like completely missed my foot, and then the ball landed on my other foot that was on the ground, which caused the ball to like bounce up over the goalie and go into the net. It was the weirdest goal, and no one knew how it went in. We had to watch it back frame by frame to see what happened. So I did get a goal in the soccer match.
I commentated the one in EU, the one right by Fulham.
Oh, nice.
I was one of the I was like the quote unquote main commentator, mainly because I didn't want to play. So like I did the first half with Cody Casts, if you've ever heard of them, and the other half with Bendo, if you've ever heard of them. I was meant to go to NA and possibly commentate that match, but then it's just expensive, man. And also like America.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to America unless I have someone to stay with, and I was meant to be staying with someone, and that just fell through. Like nothing bad happened. We just kind of both decided it was just a bit too expensive, and then we both decided. It was so funny. We both sent a message basically at the same time to each other, deciding it was too expensive, which was like kind of showed me that it wasn't meant to be, you know. So
I mean, I feel the same way about TwitchCon EU. Like, I don't think I plan on going to an EU TwitchCon just because it is so expensive. Oh, you're gonna get there. I don't know. It's like I feel like most of the people I know are from America as well. So I don't know how many people I would know, and like obviously there'd be people I would know, but maybe not as many. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot. I've actually never been to Europe ever, actually.
Do you have a plan of doing it at one point?
Maybe. Well, we'll have to see.
When the time is right.
I've been like a big like USA traveler recently. I've been trying to go to like as many national parks as possible. They're all like super cool, especially the ones like out in the west, like a lot of cool, like, you know, unique geographic locations. So that's kind of been, you know, what I've been putting any spare funds to, traveling, you know, across the country, checking out what nature has to show us, and it's been a lot of fun.
Fair play. What about what was that one? Oh, that's it. MarioCraft Cup. Let's talk about that.
All right.
That was your idea, was it?
Yeah. So the MarioCraft Cup is something I wanted to do since the day that the first mid-offs were announced, which was the Tubbo event. And I think those were announced, like, I mean, the first mid-offs was a really long time ago. It was like, what, in August, September?
No, yeah.
Like, it was a while ago. Like, I remember, like, the day that got announced, I messaged Danny Boy, and I'm like, I want to do this, but with Mario runners. But, like, I couldn't ever find, like, a good time to do it. And eventually I figured like season 9 playoffs was going to end, and I figured for kind of that like short period after playoffs that in mid-January, you know, a lot of the events, like the big events, were on hiatus and everything. I was like, I figured this should be a good time to do it. So I started committing, and I tried to start finding 8 coaches and 8 like Mario runners to pair together to learn the Minecraft speedrun, and it ended up being like really hard. I feel like on the coach side, it was like I had plenty of people who wanted to be coaches, but convincing Mario runners to like commit a week to learn a new speed game was pretty hard. Like I had like a select few people who were immediately on board, but trying to fill in, you know, all 8 slots was proving to be very tough. And I probably ended up, between the coaches and the runners, I probably asked over like 30 people. So it took a lot to narrow it down to that final 16 people. And we didn't even have a finalized roster till like 4 days before the event started. But luckily, we were able to get the 8 coaches, the 8 competitors. The event started and everyone started training. And right away, you know, I put out like an intake form for the runners and the coaches at the start. And like one of the questions was like, oh, how many hours do you want to play each day? And everyone was like, maybe like 3-4 hours. The event starts and teams like Jay and Silver are playing for like 14 hours a day. You know, like just absolutely insane things, which is super cool. Like I think I'd rather see that than people not playing. But yeah, no, it's like super crazy. A lot of people were grinding a bunch. And finally, when the weekend rolled around, it was time for the tournament. But the tournament was a little bit of a scheduling nightmare because for some reason, as you were kind of talking about earlier, that for some reason, I swear there's like way too many Minecraft events right now. And there was just like a Pandora's Box event that Infume and Fruitberries, who were 2 of the coaches, were also playing in. So we had to like schedule around that event. And I think that event started at like 2 p.m. So we were like, okay, we'll try to schedule their first matches for like a little past 5 because historically the Pandora's Box events take like under 3 hours usually.
Yeah.
But then the event starts like 30 minutes late. Like
Yeah,
someone
that's the
was like
problem is
sleeping,
constantly,
like
yeah.
someone was like sleeping in VC apparently, and like 2 people were just complete no-shows, so they had to get like 3 subs right before the event. It started like 40 minutes late, and there were like 3 5-minute plus tech pauses during the event too. So the event was running like super late, so we were doing like so we played like all the matches we could, but then we had to like stall as much as possible to like wait till Fruitberries and Infume were free to coach the 2 matches that they were supposed to play in. And it ended up working out, but then the event started just running like super late into the night, and we had, you know, multiple European people, but it was, you know, it was a good time. We had a lot of good matches, but it was like running so late that like the elimination matches, because like a double elimination tournament, the elimination matches were supposed to be a best of 3, but for the match of like Infume versus GTM, or not Moki versus GTM, coached by Infume and Nerdy respectively, was starting at like 9 p.m. and Infume is like, it's starting to get really late. Like I don't know if I can do like a full best of 3 because, you know, he's in college. I think he wants to get up pretty early each day. So we ended up like changing that to a best of 1, which that was fine. And then we kind of had to have like a whole conversation for like, the event probably has too many best of 3s. Like the event was just running slower than I thought it would, as like you said, tends to happen with events. So we ended up having to kind of change it for there being less best of 3s, because like I had like a tech team helping me and everything, and you know, the guy who was restreaming the event also, you know, has a job that he had to wake up for early on Monday, so he's like, we can't go super late on Sunday, so we had to make like a couple on the fly rule changes, which definitely is just like not, you know, a good thing to do, but you know, it's kind of just like something we had to do. And definitely like the biggest thing that I would do differently next time is making sure that I have a format that like properly fits in the time slot, as opposed to kind of having to change the format on the fly, which, is annoying for the competitors, confusing for the people watching and everything. So that's like probably the one thing that I would change the most about how I did the event. But overall, it seems like people, seem to really enjoy it. A lot of people, there seem to be a lot of people who actually did watch Mario and Minecraft. Like there's a lot of overlaps, like people saying like, oh my God, like I've been waiting for this collab for so long. And a lot of the Mario runners are continuing to play Minecraft speedruns, like Trey, Suigi, Jay. They're all streaming like almost every single day actually. And, made some friends. Like I know Trey and Mustard keep in touch like pretty frequently. They were a duo. So overall, I think it was just like a pretty positive experience for everybody. It definitely was like way more to organize than I thought it would be. Just like the amount of time that, I had to put into like, getting everybody and coordinating everything and whatnot. And it definitely would have been not possible without the 3 people on my tech team who helped me out. But it ended up going, it ended up happening, and I'm glad that it was finally able to happen because, like I said, it's been something I've been wanting to do for many, many months. So I'm glad that it finally, was able to pan out.
I know you did a pretty amazing job of casting as well.
I did commentate for 8+ hours each day almost, which was certainly not easy, especially because, like I said when we were talking about streaming earlier, I'm not like a super extroverted person. So me getting like super fired up in the commentary booth is not something I can do super easily. But it is like something I want to improve at. I'm always like down to commentate like more stuff, and might be something I try to do in the future, like try to maybe message some people, see if I can hop on some other people's events, whatever. I don't know, we'll have to see.
I'm always trying to grow my casting CV, so I mean if you're ever looking for someone else to be involved, then let me know.
Oh, absolutely. Finding commentators was definitely tough, so we'll be
I can definitely be clued up on it. I know that.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the roster.
Yeah, so you gotta shoot your shot sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about, or have we done a pretty good job of covering everything for today?
I'm trying to think. Do you have any other topics written down?
No, we've pretty much gone through everything I wanted to talk about.
Oh, I guess we can talk about like Block Wars. I know we said we wanted to.
Oh yeah, go on. And what do you want to say about that? I'll build on it.
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to playing in Block Wars this Saturday. It's like the first Minecraft event. I guess Block Wars Origins, to be more specific. It's my first like Minecraft event I've played in. I played in the Chungus Cup hosted by Ashi, which is like a speedrun tournament for a bunch of Emerald level streamers. But this is like a first like actual like Minecraft mini game event I'm playing in, and I'm super excited that it's Block Wars, because Block Wars is one of the ones that I actually like watched a lot and thought was like a super cool event and one I wanted to do for a while. They put out like an open application to join the roster, so I was like, oh, you bet I'm going to fill that out. And I fill it out, and then I get a DM from one of the like people who like makes the roster, and they were like, oh, thanks for filling out the application, but we were gonna just invite you anyways. And I was like, oh, well, okay. Thanks, I guess. Maybe you could have let me know earlier. Like, I don't know. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was a pretty short application, but I thought that was kind of funny. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We got Purpled and Ogar, 2 other speedrunners on my team, and then Ruben and Tropics, who I don't know, but I'll get to know them during the event. But I'm definitely like looking forward to it a lot. It was one of my favorite events to watch, so I think it'll be super cool to play. We've been doing like a decent amount of like prep. Ogar has kind of been giving me the rundown of like the meta and like how to play every game like efficiently, and we've been like we actually want to do well, because apparently we're one of like the better, like one of the teams expected to do better, so we definitely want to try to win, which would be super cool to win like the first event I do. So that's our current goal.
You'll have a lot of fun. I know you will.
Yeah.
Block Wars is a super cool event, and it's something that I've been wanting to play, but like it's not really that big of a deal. Like it's one of those things where like it'd be a cool opportunity, and I applied for the roster, but I don't think I'll ever join it. I don't think I'll ever get invited.
They only accepted like 3 people, so
yeah, it was a bit of a harder one to get into. So fair play, honestly, fair play to get into it.
Yeah, I don't know how. I guess a lot of the people who are like part of the roster already, I guess, like watched me or my content before.
Yeah, if they know and like
So
you, then
it's kind of like an unfortunate reality that like a lot of these events is like very
just
you know, you gotta know a guy. It's very much like that, which can make it tough for, you know, new faces to find a way in. But you know, it's kind of a never give up thing. I remember actually, it kind of brings me back to games done quick. I most recently in January of this year, I ran Lego Star Wars at Games Done Quick. Which was super cool, but it was very like long overdue. I had been submitting, or me and a couple other people had kind of been submitting Lego Star Wars to GDQ since like 2019. Like we've been submitting it for like almost 7 years, and it just like finally got in, and it was like a true like never give up type of moment there, where like, you know, someone is trying to do something such as running in GDQ. Like, you know, it took us 7 years to reach that point. So, you know, I always, you know, remind people that like, you know, your opportunity for things will always you know, show up at some point, even if it takes years for it to happen, which, you know, some people don't like to hear. But, you know, hopefully, you know, everyone gets what they're hoping for in life at some point.
I actually think sometimes it's a bit easier to get into the events if like you're not known or if you're new to the community. I think like with me, it's like, I don't know it's a bit of a weird take, but I think like I don't know, I'm so busy with like InsideMC and work and obviously my partner and, you know, life as a whole, and we've just moved out, so like obviously I need to focus more on, you know, earning money, and like I don't really have time to like build friendships, if that makes sense. And I think like a lot of the time it comes down to how good your content is, but I think a lot of the time it also comes down to like your friendships, etc. So without that, like obviously in this community I spend a lot of time kind of working on InsideMC over making friends, which I mean I'd love to make friends, but at the same time I'm just, you know, if you it's rough. It's
definitely the world of online is so rewarded by how much time you can just put into it, between obviously, like you said, building friends, making content, streaming, everything. It's like whoever has the most time is the winner, which it's probably not the reality most people are hoping for, because, you know, the people who aren't full time are going to be the ones who have less time. But you know,
that's just how the cookie
it's just
crumbles.
it's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Well, with that being said, then Justin, that sadly brings the end of this week's InsideMC.
Oh man, it was a good talk though. Really cool to kind of come on. It's like the first time I've come on kind of talking like a talk-esque show in like 2.5 years. So it's kind of cool to you know, update the world on what I've been doing, what's going on. So I do appreciate you for having me on. This was super cool.
No, it's been a great talk. Thank you so much. And you know, like I guess after the day I've had, it's nice to kind of settle down a night and talk. And I'll probably go and do some speedrunning after this now. So
absolutely, I think I will as well. That sounds like a great evening.
Well, before I do the outro here, I always like to give this opportunity for you to promote yourself. So for anyone who's listened this far and has enjoyed, where can people find you?
I am WiiSuper on everything. WII Super. I stream Lego and Minecraft. I'm currently doing Minecraft right now, but if you're watching this video in the future, maybe I'm doing Lego. Who knows? I also upload Lego Star Wars videos on WiiSuper on YouTube, and then I also started a new Minecraft channel called WiiSuper MC, which as of right now doesn't really have anything on it, but maybe in the future we'll have some more Minecraft oriented stuff on it. So, you know, trying to get that channel up and running pretty soon. So if that's more your area of interest, then if you check it out, that'd be cool.
Well, there you go. Go and check out WiiSuper on everywhere. And yeah, thank you so much again for joining me today. It's been an absolutely amazing podcast, and it's been an honor to talk to you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
With that being said, this has been InsideMC. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe. Don't eat too much bread. Pieces.